That is the name of my talk. And because it's on a creative topic, I'm going to be doing this creatively using Micro.blog and web pages to tell the story of my talk. So let's just put me in a little box so we can see the screen better. So Micro.blog Mothership for your savvy indie creative journey. And it's basically all about how you can use Micro.blog account as the base to build the creative journey of your work online. And this is primarily aimed at people who consider themselves creatives. So artists, vloggers, photographers, anyone putting out online content online, especially if they want to do so professionally, but also as a hobby. Now, this is an increasingly large number of people, so I hope this will really be useful for a lot of people. And basically, it's about how Micro.blog can provide the ideal base for you to grow an audience online in a way that's true to your values. So more on my values and hashtag savvy indie later. But firstly, how do you own your output? So my part A on this is here in Markdown. Publish content on your own custom domain with custom design. So to explain this one, I'm going to take you back. And this is where I introduce my very creative slide approach. It's live web pages, but pre-prepared. 1A, here we go. So this was my first website. Not a great effort for posterity. The domain wasn't even owned by me. It's a WordPress.com subdomain. It wasn't even saved to the Wayback Machine, so I can't even haunt it like a ghost. But anyway, more early attempts. Created Twitter in 2009. Didn't really do that much. Created a music account, and again, didn't actually post for the first 5 months before I started posting music. Website wise, I mean, this LaurenceWarner.com, a website showcasing the creative work of Laurence Warner, just empty. That was pretty much the reality of my internet presence until 2018. Look at me now. Look at me now. To this, ceruleansounds.com, just established as a UK LTD, teamed up with a business partner, Lucy Parkinson, just released debut double album and going on tour, as well as a bunch of other indie productions. And as you can see, quite an active social presence, cleverly syndicated here. This is an example of, using the web to push my indie content. So this is what I mean by being savvy indie. Don't have a label or industry support, but using tech to get my work to audiences. And where does like written content fit in with that? So you can have an official company blog, and I recommend keeping it pretty infrequent and just important, well-crafted posts. So you can see the album launch, big releases, and but I just felt like I had that and I had the YouTube content, video content, but there wasn't really a place for words to more regularly, in a more sort of regular way, get words out there. So I wanted to beef back up the Twitter, but like a lot of people, I'm not huge on the way that community has gone, especially politically. So, I wanted to own my output, and be able to own where my words lived. So, I created a website via Micro.blog. So, this is, sorry, it's just 100% that. This is the archive of the blog. So I actually imported my original WordPress blogs. You can see these 2017 ones. I imported my Medium posts, and then we get to a Hello World post on the 1st of June 2020. So it's been just over a year on Micro.blog. And I encourage any creative out there to do a post like this, even if they don't think they will use it. I didn't use it for 5 days. Even if they don't think they'll use it for 5 weeks, I still think it's worth putting down your $5 a month and getting it. And the rest of the talk will explain why. So, before I move on, just a little bit more about. So, as you probably gathered, I write for a living. I mostly perform music as under the name Cerulean, but I do have a background in tech, and I do also like to. I aspire to share more personal life stuff. So, my this personal blog and my micro blog is the one place on the web I have a presence under my government name, as they call it. Because I'm proud of this being a place of you can be a person, and more on that later. Well, yeah, more on that later. So yeah, that's the first section. Publish content to a custom domain that you can custom design rather than just on a blogging platform. WordPress, by the way, I'm going to include Substack in that, even though it's fashionable. There is at least a business model to it, but still. And definitely, I'm talking about don't just publish directly onto big tech socials, because they are rinsing your content. So my next piece is, what about all that content you're pushing out? It's a high volume. It's a really good idea, and you'll become very clear later, to divide it into categories. So let's pull up my 1B slides on that famous slide software, Mozilla Firefox. There we are. There they are. 1B. So what content can you do on Micro.blog? Well, you can post videos. I've already shown that. I can show you that here. Here's a Vimeo embed. This one's a monthly blog I do after my first week flip phone offline. You can also post, if you pay double, so rather than $5 a month, pay $10 a month, you can post audio content, i.e. a podcast, and it literally can syndicate out to podcast platforms. So I took Manton up on his free trial to make one with Jasraj, which I would highly recommend as an intro, where we go a bit deeper into the why behind this. The other thing you can have is a search page, people can search. So I could have searched for that post, Jasraj. I could find my podcast with him. As you'll see, it's still fairly early days on microblog, so there are some little niggles, like the fact that that text is white on this dark mode customized theme, but more or less, it's good to go. And you can sometimes make use of the jankiness, like this search page still exists, even though you'll see that it's technically disappeared. So it's just one of those, sometimes you can get some benefits. I didn't want to search at the top, but the page still exists. So, make the most of the platform. But like I said, the point of this piece was to encourage you to think about what categories your content could fit into. It'll become really useful later and organized. So as well as search, the other way of navigating your content is through these categories. So I've been quite specific and ambitious that I am publishing 2 distinct types of content. One is all my stuff on the arts, and that is in line with my career as Cerulean, as a performer. And you can see that's the whole one, and then I've even got subtopics within that. But then I also have a strong personal interest in advocacy for tech, and I do still do some freelancing there. So you can see some subtopics there, including that light phone one. And at the top I have those 2 as 2 big places to navigate to. So yeah, this leads me on to my second. Oh yeah, this I'll include this link because I created a category for like things I learned about microblog as I was going along. So definitely feel free to check that out. Okay, number 2, amplify your output. Okay, part A is syndicate to Micro.blog for small and friendly social feedback. And let's make that the title because that's what it is. Right, so for this one, basically what I'm saying is most people would think this is a no-brainer. Like most people think that this is what getting microblog means. Oh, we've got a. Sorry that my image is frozen. Hopefully you're still hearing me okay. Let's do it. Let's get a new movie recording going. There we go. Hello again. Float on top. Okay. That's how you do this, by the way. You do float on top on a QuickTime movie recording. So why do you want to do categories? Well, let's firstly show you how you do them. So hit the categories tab here in micro.blog, and you've got you've got your categories. You can create new ones like that. So the main ones here for me are like arts and tech, right? 271 art tech posts, 147 arts posts. Okay, next thing, that edit filters button will take you to a place you can create automated filters. I recommend using hashtags for these, and that why will become clear later, but basically it's because ultimately you're going to use these categories to syndicate out to socials. So it will just help, with visibility there. Let's get rid of that. So yeah, that's basically how you create the categories. You can also do it manually on the post. So for example, you can pull up this and I can manually assign this to the tech microblog category. That's the other way you can do it. Okay, now the next big step is syndicating it to syndicate these posts to microblog. And I know it says to be here, but I need to start doing this now. So basically, this is in accounts and edit feeds and cross posting. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to make sure that your category divisions give you full coverage of all your posts with no overlap. So you need to make sure that all of your posts that you want to go to microblog are covered and there's no overlap between them. So the most simple solution to that is just doing what most people do, which is just your single feed. So it would just literally be like, I think this is what comes automatically anyway. And I think that would be it. And it would just be your feed main one. But I'm showing something slightly more ambitious here, where I've divided it into 4 categories. It's not just arts and tech. That would be my next step up of complexity, but this is one more, which is distinguish between articles which have titles and micro posts, which are just like short tweet style things. So then basically, what this allows you to do is do social posting, and I'll come back to how later, but I just wanted to be clear that the basic thing is what I showed there. Just put your whole feed up in there. So this leads me to my next section, which is the big what everything has been leading up to. Why is Micro.blog a mothership? Well, it's because it can be a central source of content which can then go out into the big socials for maximum exposure. So because I'm speaking to creatives primarily, I'll focus primarily on Twitter and Tumblr, but I'll mention briefly LinkedIn, Medium, and The other one, which I can't even remember. Oh, Mastodon. Okay. Just goes to show how little Mastodon has actually been useful. So, you know, basically, it's like I just showed there. Once you set up these categories, you can then basically link into your Twitter. So let's just start with Twitter as the most simple example. So I've got two Twitter um, two Twitter feeds. Okay, so um, this is the Cerulean Sounds one, and you can see that all of the posts going here have the hashtag art, or a lot of them do. Some of them are coming in from other places, but all the ones from Micro.blog, and that's because they that puts them into the category, and it's that category that is then getting syndicated. Um, so obviously there's some posts either native or coming from other places here, but all of the ones from Micro.blog have the hashtag art. You wouldn't even know they're from Micro.blog necessarily, but that's how I'm transparent and tell people. Likewise, all of these ones, which go to my techie themed feed, are all hashtag tech. Okay, so yeah, basically that is all because of the fact that these ones have gone into these tech micro and tech articles feeds, and then I'm sending them out to. I just disabled it by accident. That's hilarious. Uh, okay, I'm gonna have to re-enable that later. But anyway, onward. So, what can be the problems of doing this? There's the help center. The most discussed post is on cross posting, so that's why I hope this talk will be useful. Um, so most of my most liked replies as well are on this topic. So this one is basically on how Medium doesn't really work. Um, Medium isn't working well, so for techies, that's a thing to think about. This post is all about how how different a single post can appear on different platforms. So this is how it looks on the original microblog down the bottom left, okay? And then on Twitter, um, like it basically stopped the post early at the word iPhone and then like linked to this page. So to get it just to display purely on Twitter, it's got to be like well under 280. Okay. Mastodon drew out the YouTube link from not to buy the iPhone 12 here and put it at the bottom and included the whole thing. And LinkedIn is awful because it turns all links into their horrible, unbranded link shortener. So I stopped actually linking to LinkedIn for posts. I just do the longer articles now. So that's one of the main reasons you'll see I've got LinkedIn just on the articles ones. Um, so yeah, basically, like that's one thing to bear in mind. Another one is limits of Twitter. Um, you can have to try and choose whether you're going to use at people on microblog, which I will assume, or on Twitter. Um, you know, Twitter shows that it comes from microblog, so people understand. Um, Instagram and Facebook are just a no go. There's like nothing. It's another limitation. You can't get really anything to Facebook or Instagram. Um, so yeah, which might be for the best if we're honest. Uh, so yeah, basically that's my next recommendation. We're coming up to 20 minutes, so I'm gonna have to wrap up. I'm gonna bring in all of my part three real quick because there's not really much to show. It's love your output, and it's just basically my attempt to say, put your tech where your values are, i.e., own your content, use microblog, treat the big socials like second class citizens, and spend as little as possible doing so. So, yeah, I do want to, play in different worlds, different conversations. I'm primarily an artist, but I am interested in tech. But I'm spending only $5 a month to have a mothership that allows me to post into both channels, right? So, take my starving artist advice and get a micro.blog mothership. And then, bring your closest audience more direct. Get them on your RSS feeds. get him onto Micro.blog and join us and communicate why. And that is exactly what I'm doing today. So please do give me any questions. I'm going to be in the veto right now for you guys who are live at Microcamp.